Welcome to Serial Podcast 9.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
Kevin who?
Hi, I'm Kevin Peterson from SERIALNINE.
And I'm Gerard Peralta from SERIALNINE.
And I'm Ryan Benoit from Dota Logic, and this is Serial Podcast 9, episode 12.
All right, so today what we're going to do is answer some questions from our listeners. We've acquired a few over the 11 episodes that we've done, so I think we're going to start with that. And if you guys have any questions, then feel free to DM us or email us or,
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment on the YouTube or whatever, anywhere. And we can answer your questions if you have any.
Go to your front porch and shout it at the top of your lungs.
Send it by a smoke signal by doing a burnout.
Scream it into a pillow. I don't know. All right. Actually, before we do that, I want to touch on this because Gerard sent me a message this week, and I thought it was terribly interesting, and it was very pertinent to one of our earlier episodes. So in our Tesla episode, Gerard mentioned that his brother-in-law was going to get a Tesla Plaid.
Yes.
We talked about how the nerds have won.
Yes.
But here's the thing, Gerard, have the nerds won?
I mean, I guess if you really, really want to be a nerd, then you can win, yes. But the car had an 8-week whatever delivery time, I guess it was. And 8 weeks comes and goes. And so he calls them, I guess, and he says, hey, where's my car? I haven't heard from you guys. I don't know anything about it. Is my car going to be here soon? And they're kind of like, nope. And they're like, yeah, it's probably going to be another couple months. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Like, nobody's contacted me. I don't know anything about it. Like, what's going on? They're like, oh, it probably hasn't even started being built yet or whatever. So then he obviously gets a little bit choked. Guy doesn't like his tone. He says, hey, I don't like your tone. Hangs up on him. And of course, he's fucking pissed. And he's just like, what the fuck? And he kind of gave it some time, called them back, tried to talk to him or whatever. And then they're like, yeah, well, you're welcome to cancel your order online, something. So yeah, the next morning, I guess he slept on it and he canceled the order.
And now he's going to look at a
Porsche Taycan. Cross Turismo. The only problem is they don't actually arrive till end of summer either. So he's not getting that till whatever. But we do have a test drive booked on Monday for a Turbo S Taycan.
Whew.
Yeah, it should be
exciting
fun.
Times. So the beautiful car wins this time.
Let's hope. I mean, we're speccing it out today, and man, like that thing, holy shit! You can get man. I mean, I'm like speccing like slate gray leather with like Bordeaux red stitching and like this special like Neptune blue and like, man, the spec list is unbelievable. I think in my spec it was like $65,000 worth of options. It was just fucked. But it's like options that you would want if you were, going to buy the top of the line one. Like
right.
If Kevin were to spec one, it would 100% be $270,000 as well.
Would it be a Camry? Because I feel like that's what Kevin's.
No, Kevin likes those cars. He said Panamera, but now they come in the full electrics. Is a Panamera Gran Turismo? Is that what it's called, or Kevin?
Yeah, Panamera Gran Turismo, I believe.
Yeah, this one's the Cross Turismo, so it's like a little bit off-roady, but you don't have to make it off-roady if you don't want to.
So it's like it's the Outback of Gran Turismos, basically.
Yeah,
so you're not winning me over.
No, but I mean, it does. There's an off-road package, which obviously you don't have to get. It's like slightly higher and has like that cladding shit on the outside, and like you don't have to get that. You just looks like.
Does it come with the like 5 round 8-inch rally lights on the hood? Because now you're getting in there.
No. It just has like a
like those 911 rally cars.
I think in.
Does it come with a Rothman's livery?
All right. So this is actually one of the questions that I have, because since we've brought it up and I wrote it down and I've always wanted to come back to it, and now is my chance. So Gerard, you want to buy, when it comes out, a Nissan 400Z.
Yeah, I do.
Now here's the dilemma that I've created for you in my head.
That right there is like something a woman would do.
Yeah, that's
completely think about something else that someone else might be thinking about and get into a whole preposterous situation in their mind about it.
Damn women.
It hasn't even happened yet.
I don't even need to explain myself to you, Kevin. We'll talk about this later. Okay. No, but so you want the 400Z, and I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. But here's the conundrum that I feel is that, Gerard, you always pick the obscure car.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not an obscure car.
That's right. It's not.
So I just want to know your approach to this.
Okay,
Like, what's
so
your
Trying to
here-
change, okay?
Here's the thing. Okay, so yes, I've had the obscure car literally since I was like into cars. Fucking, I've done it. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't beat them, join them. I want to buy a car that like it's a manual car out of the box. It's got a side brake out of the box. It's fast out of the box. It looks good out of the box. I mean, I could easily build a Q50 sedan which has the same VR30 motor. You could 6-speed swap that. I found out you could do that. It's pretty cool. But I mean, just buy the fucking car, man. You know what I mean? I want one car in my life that I could just buy and like it's already sort of done. You know, I make it look cool, whatever, make it faster, but you just buy it, man.
I just don't see it happening.
I mean, I don't know. It may or may not happen. I don't know, but like that's what I want to do.
So you would be okay with being just like every other
what?
peasant.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the most peasant car. It's an exciting car. It's cool. And honestly, man, like I've always loved Zeds and like I've never had one. Like I absolutely love 300 ZXs. Like I've swapped them, I've built them, we've done all sorts of stuff with them. I've driven them. They're like my absolute favorite Nissan, but I've never had one. Like, why is that? You know, it's kind of like the same thing with JZX 100s. I've always loved them. I've modified them. I've imported them. I've driven them. I've drifted them, but I've never had one. It's like this weird sort of like disconnect. It's like, oh yeah, I really like that, but I'm just going to build this other thing instead. But no, I would really like to just buy the Z and like drive the fucking thing. I just want to buy it and literally drive it to a drift event and like go drifting. That's what I want to do.
So it'll be like the combo breaker for you. It'll be the one time you don't do a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It'll be like the easy button, I guess, if you will. Just like buy it, drift it, done. And then, you know, be like, oh, this thing's actually sick. It's like, I don't have to like change the knuckles, change the subframe bushings, change the steering rack, change the like interior.
But you will.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
No,
okay.
You will. It'll be like 2 days in and like it'll be torn apart. You'll be measuring shit. Like, you know it.
It's funny because
you can't help yourself.
Back in the day when Type Rs came out, it was like, you know, Type Rs are sick. And it's, you know, of course, I had a Civic at the time and I was like, oh, you don't need that Type R shit. Like, you could build something like that way sicker, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just overrated, this and that. And then it's like, so we'd get customers in with Type Rs and they'd be doing upgrades. And it was sick because, like, you change the cams on a Type R. What do you do with the old cams? You fucking sell them because they're worth a bunch of money. You change the exhaust on a Type R. What do you do with the old exhaust? You sell it because it's worth a bunch of money, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And like, the car already comes with nice shit. You're just putting nicer shit on, and the old shit is still nice, and you can either sell it or keep it or whatever. But like, yeah. And then obviously driving a Type R, it's like, they're amazing compared to any other Honda. You know what I mean? You could build something like that maybe, but I mean, literally engineers spent thousands of hours designing this car, and it's pretty awesome.
Engineers spent thousands of hours designing control arms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just, yeah, that's it.
And then along comes Gerard.
Maybe sometimes the stock shit ain't so bad, you know? I don't know.
What do you think of the new Type Rs?
They're pretty crazy. I mean, the styling's a bit much for me. I think they're. I still think
hate the styling. It's very like Gundam.
Yeah, it definitely, like, whatever the style they're going for, they got it. What really irks me is those rear fenders, though, how they're kind of pasted on and they stop at the door. I fully hate that, but the rest of the car is like fucking crazy.
But it also has like a bunch of like non-functional vents, which are kind of like but like, yeah, overall it's like a crazy looking car, and you know it when you see it. You're not like, hey, there's a Subaru. You're like, holy shit, like, you know.
Yeah, that thing's nuts.
There's a Type R.
And the fact that, like, you know, it has crazy brakes and all that stuff, and it's super fast, but also you could fit like 18 by 11s on the things. It was stock body or some shit with like 285s or 295s. It's ridiculous.
I just straight up, every time I see them, think they look like a spaceship, and I'm like, there goes the
spaceship.
Fully
do.
Spaceship,
fully do.
Spaceship.
There's like wings on like
vents on wings.
Just, yeah, it's
wings on vents, and
it's crazy.
I feel like I'm just pulling into Moss Eisley trying to hitch a ride at the spaceport, you know?
Yeah.
None of that.
But like, I've driven one, and man, they're like something else.
I was gonna say, what's the price range on it though?
Oh shit, man, 60 grand or something like that.
What
I don't
else
know. They're
would you
expensive.
buy? Is there another car that you would buy for that much money?
Z34, 100%, 370Z, 100%.
All right.
Okay, so the funny thing is, like, it's never really come up, but I said, if I ever win the lottery, I'm going straight to Nissan. I'm going to buy a 370Z, and that's the car I would drive to the other dealerships to, like, order the Lambo and all that other shit. You know what I mean? Because I just want a rear-wheel drive car that's, like, manual, and, like, you could just shit kick it and drift it, and then you go and buy the exotic cars, you know?
That's never come up. What car would you?
I mean, I've heard it numerous times, so it definitely has come up.
All right. Yeah, in your day-to-day life. Gerard, do you play the lottery?
No. I used to once in a while.
Okay.
Hey man, I'm Filipino, you know. When I win the lottery, you know, when I win the lotto.
Kevin, if you win the lottery, what dealership are you going to first to buy a car to drive to all the other dealerships?
I honestly, I don't even know.
Mustang, come on, Mustang.
A Mustang? No.
No.
Nah.
They're sick.
I'd buy a Mach-E and I'd immediately try and flip it. I'd see if I could make the airbags go off in the dealer parking lot.
A Mach-E?
No, honestly, I don't know. Like, no, it was a joke.
Okay.
Just to wreck it. Like, see if I can like literally blow it up in the parking lot without even leaving it. No, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Good answer.
Take 1 minute and think about it though.
Take a minute. You could just say a Camry. That's a fun Kevin answer. Like you roll up.
Honestly, I probably would like just buy a brand new like Camry. That'd be
Because you know they would have one. You know, they might not have the TRD one, but like they might have the one. You know what I mean? And you could get that car. Whereas like all the other cars you probably do want, they probably don't have at the dealership. You probably have to order the phone.
You have to like wait it.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I'm not that kind of guy who just like sits there on the internet and like specs out cars that I can't afford. But like, it's like not what I would do with my time.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not. No, I know lots of people do that. I'm not trying to shit on like Gerard or anybody else.
You shit on Gerard.
I have lots of friends who do that. But yeah, it's, you know what I mean. Like,
but you're superior to them.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm just saying that's not something I do. So like,
that's not what I would do with my time. I prefer to drink many beers.
I just was like on a daydream. Like if you had an infinite amount of money, you've never been like, what would I do if I had an infinite amount of money? That's never crossed your mind.
I honestly, like, no, I don't, like, because that's not a feasible thing. It's like I'm never gonna have an infinite amount of money. So like,
God damn it, just dream a
dream,
little.
fucking dream of it here and there, man.
Dare to dream a little dream. God.
I get a like Ferrari F40 LM.
No, but you gotta wait.
You can't buy that fucking car. It's not realistic. That's not a realistic dream,
you just told me to dream a dream, and now I'm saying that's
not dream a little dream.
Now that's not realistic.
I said dream a little dream. Then you dreamed a big dream. We were saying what car would you buy to drive to all the other dealerships, and then you picked the craziest fucking car. I imagine that if Kevin won the lottery and he was going to buy cars, it would actually just be him on like Craigslist buying all the like shit boxes.
100%. Hey, man, would you take like $60 for that thing?
Yeah, and he's driving each shit box. He like gets one shit box and drives it to the next shit box and leaves the last shit box.
Oh God, just take the plate from one to another. That that is.
And then he works his way up.
Yeah.
And then he hires like a driver to go fetch all his shit boxes.
No, it just literally blows like $4 million on like a bunch of shitty cars.
Okay, there's like 1 million people in Vancouver who just park their RV on the street and live out of their RV because it's much cheaper than paying rent or owning a home. That would be me, except it'd be like a 52-foot car trailer with like 7 or 8 shit boxes in the back.
All right. Very different mentality.
How about you, Ryan? What would you buy? I'm going to give you like $6 million right now, and you got to go buy some shit.
So right out of the box, I would go to the Toyota or Lexus dealership, and depending on the day, I might be like, I want a brand new like TRD 4Runner, and if they could get me that, if it was out, I could or couldn't.
No, you're not getting
that. It's a Toyota truck. You're not getting it.
You'd have to peruse. You'd have to peruse Craigslist and Marketplace.
Oh, okay. So I can't go to the dealership and get that. Well, but I have so many millions. Okay. Could the other? Can I get the new Lexus IS, the 500?
Of course. I mean, like, yeah, if you could buy it, sure. I mean, if it was there, which
yeah,
I mean, maybe you have to wait a week or two or something, or maybe a month. I don't know.
Maybe I just get the one off the showroom floor and I'm like, drive it out for me, and then I give them an extra 20K.
Yeah.
And then after that, none of my cars are like crazy cars. If I had that much money, it's honest. Like now they probably are. I would buy like a Hakasuka and stuff like that. But they're all dumb cars that would require a lengthy explanation to why you spent 200,000 on like a 1960 something Skyline that's not like super fast and loud and smells like gasoline.
How many like LC 500s do you think there are? Because like,
yeah, you could buy an LC 500.
That car I would really get down with.
That's a good one.
Yeah, they're pretty good for sure.
I would drive that around until I could buy an LFA.
Yeah, that's what I would go find. That's actually
that's pretty Toyota of you. It's like an automatic with a fucking foot brake and an engine, and that's pretty dope. You can do burnouts, but you probably can't drift it because it's like beep 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 beep. Like no, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll just use my money and like convert it to DCT or some shit.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, make it so you
put
can
my
actually
own clutch
drive
pedal
it.
in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would
we've
work.
all already ruined the cars that I didn't ruin mine, but
no, I just drove mine. I maybe put coilovers in it and some wheels and just drove the fucking thing. That's it.
Now it's ruined. Good. All right.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Apparently that Cowichan racetrack has been opened up to like local race clubs.
Oh, cool.
But there has been no drifting there as of yet.
Well, what if we have a really dope race club?
What would we call it?
You tell me.
We would call it
Serial Race Club 9.
Serial 9 Club do racing.
Yeah. Okay. Racing de Provence X Serial 9.
No, call it
avec money.
But you know what? That's a good idea. I mean, if they're gonna have like, we should form some sort of professional ass like drift organization, and then be like, yeah, we have this. You know,
can we call it a professional ass organization? I like that.
Yeah,
that should just be the name of it. Serial 9 Professional Ass Racing Organization.
I don't know what would have to fall into place for that to happen. Like, I assume they have their own insurance at the track. So then do you need your own insurance to go race?
I mean, I think you're thinking too much into it. I think we should just do all the rest of the stuff first.
So
like, obviously think of the name.
That's the only part.
Yeah.
That's
Make merchandise.
Yeah.
The very
people excited about something you've done absolutely no research.
Yeah, you gotta write the like Stamato, taking drifting to the next level with performance.
A
blah
professional,
blah blah.
Yeah, a professional venue awaits.
Yeah, I think we should do it.
All right, I guess you're half done the job now. Now just all the hard work of finding out how to get there.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll do that.
Hey, we might have some connections. We know people in not in Cowichan, but in Chemainus, and maybe they have some, municipality across something. Might be worth a try.
Sounds like a lot of work for Kevin. This is great. Gerard did the hard part. He came up with a name: Professional Ass Drifting Events. All right. So the next questions are actually come from. They're sponsored by Rare Spec Wheels.
All right.
How much did he pay you?
No, nothing. He didn't pay me. I nothing.
Well, then it's
paid
not
me
really sponsored.
In friendship. Yeah, we'll get him on the back end on this. All right. Question. He's actually asked us a few times, and I was like, "No, man, we're not asking that." And then I was like, "All right, fine." Best. You got to let me finish the question though, because it's very important. Best tires for drifting, but tires is spelt with a Y.
Kevin can go.
Nice. I think it kind of depends on the vehicle you have, which is like a shitty answer to say.
I fucking hate that.
Well, I mean, like you can't.
There's no real right answer.
Like there is no real right answer. Like I remember in the very, very beginning, we would literally just go to tire shops and find tires outside and take them and use those. And I remember in the very beginning, I took a pair of like Continental Pilot Sports And I was trying to drift on those on my Corolla.
That's not even the fucking right brand. Continental Pilot Sport.
I don't even know what
I know
the
what
fuck
you
they
mean.
were. I don't know what the shit they were. They were like, there was some tire that was just way beyond my price range and way beyond my car's range. So like before they heated up, they were so slick. And then as soon as they heated up, I couldn't get them. I couldn't get them to kick. Like they gripped so hard, I couldn't kick the car out ever because it was a Corolla. It had no power. And like this, the same is true now. Like I wouldn't run the shittiest snow tire on my like fucking 400 horsepower drift car. Honestly, like I love Achilles. I still hold them as a pretty great tire, like price per thing, but I've been and always kind of have drifted on a cheaper rear tire because I just go through them so quickly. But
so what's your go-to 400 horsepower rear tire, and then what's your go-to front tire?
Right now for the rear, I like the Xena Argus. And on the front, I'm running an RT615, and then I also have a Firestone Indy 500 as a front tire as well. So yeah, definitely a higher grip front tire and a better brand than my rear tires for sure. But I can go a year on the same front tire. I can go 30 minutes on the same rear tire. So
it's funny. I also added optimal price range, but I know the answer. It's like cheaper the better, but like get the best. It's going to be the same. It's always going to be the same answer. It's like depends on the car, depends on this. So I mean, get a decent tire for a decent price.
I'm going to have to disagree there.
Oh, good. Do that.
Okay, so if you have a certain level of car, the cheapest tire is the best tire generally, right? So everybody just wants to drift, whatever. You got, kind of a basic car, you go with a cheap tire, understandable for sure. But then you got a car that either, has a ton of horsepower, or maybe you want to be a better driver or like be more competitive. I mean, or in my case, I guess my car was heavy. So I would try the same tires and run like the biggest size they had, 265, 35s. And I fucking hate them all. I hate all those shitty, cheap tires. I just hate them all. But I would run, like a good front tire, like RT615 or some sort of sticky front tire. But also because I run a really small front tire relative to the chassis. So I'm sure maybe you could run a lesser front tire if you actually run like a proper size. But I ran a 225 on my car, and my car's fucking huge. So anyways, yeah, the first time I put on like a good rear tire, like a 200 tread wear similar to the front, so the car was balanced, and then whatever, that was the track day that we rented a track in Washington. Fucking best thing ever, man. 100% best thing ever. I only ever got to do that a few times, so I've always drifted on said shitty, cheap tires, but never really got the same enjoyment or performance out of my car as that day.
Would you do that more often now?
Absolutely. If I had the choice, I would always drift on those tires or tires to that of that level.
As we know, money is no obstacle for Gerard.
Absolutely not true.
I mean, but I think what Gerard's saying is true, but like it's just maybe a point not that many people have reached where they can't compensate with the size of the tire, and you actually just have to compensate with the quality and the compound of the
grip
tire
of the tire,
because your car has doesn't it just blows the tires off if you don't have acceptable amounts of grip.
Yeah, and I mean, just for reference, my car was 3,700 pounds, 600 horsepower. So yeah, I'd put any 265 on there, run it at like 20 psi or whatever the hell, and it like still just kind of sucked. It either like, the car was just not really that controllable. You just go through every gear and the tire's just like burning off, but like you're still not really gripping. But yeah, when you have that good tire.
With that said, you're running a 265 when probably the recommended tire size for that wheel is like a 325.
It's the biggest size of those tires. Actually, no.
No, I know. I mean, I'm not saying that
event I did 275s. So.
Oh shit.
So that's because they came in that size, and I mean that was fine until I destroyed the car. So
yeah, bad omen is what that was.
Yeah. Never run a 275 again.
Yeah, you're like, 265, 275. What's that? I've never seen that before. So yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's sort of shifted. All the guys in the States, like they're all running like those The name is
Rivas.
Zestino. No, after the Zestinos, there was the man. Why is the name slip my mind? Come on, you know the name. Not
Doesn't it
Zestino,
start with
but
like K?
Valino. No, Valino.
Valino.
Yeah, they're running
thinking,
Valinos or Kendas or like tires that are like pretty decent these days. Most people are running
Kendas. I don't think Kendas were ever good, and I still don't think they're good.
No, there's like the KR20 that people run, like the KR20R.
Maybe if they sponsor you, you have to say they're good. Like if
I mean,
like
they make it
sponsored everyone, didn't they? They were just like, and you get a sponsorship, and you get a sponsorship, and then it's like,
yeah,
these tires are dope, and that's the beauty of sponsorship. Because honestly, as a dude that like, I don't know a shit ton about tires, and I don't drift. But when it came time to buy tires, I was like, yeah, Falcon sounds great to me. They've won Formula D before. Good enough for Vaughn Gittin Jr., good enough for Ryan Benoit. And I was just like, that'll be my tire.
yeah.
But honestly, though, like if you don't have experience driving on a ton of tires, that's probably a competent way to make your decision because it doesn't actually matter. Like until the point where you've gone through so many tires where you personally know the difference between the tires, then you could make a definitive statement and a judgment on those tires,
I mean,
I have no concept of what having like a quality tire. It's not that I have
the most high
tires.
The highest quality tire you need, Ryan, is the one where it can sit on the sidewall in the same position for 8 months at a time.
Yeah,
without
that's the one.
racking or bulging out. Yeah,
that's the one. So far, they're doing pretty good.
One thing I was gonna say though is I also back in the day used to run whatever junkyard tires, and same thing as Kevin, I'd run like a SO3 or like a Pilot Sport or a Conti Sport. I mean, I just had a 1J Cressida. It wasn't like anything crazy, but yeah, like those tires, they would be like nothing. And then with the 1J and the Cressida, I guess being maybe a bit heavier, literally those tires would fucking blow up. Like like chunks would come off that were like 4 or 5 inches. And it was just like, what the fuck? Isn't this supposed to be like a nice tire? But then I guess, yeah, maybe they would just be so heat cycled and maybe they were old. I don't know. But then because I'd be running like Pirellis on this set and like Bridgestones on this set. And like, it was never consistent. And then I just went to Achilles ATR Sports and I was like, man, these are like the best tires ever. Like they're kind of cheap. They smoke nice, they grip nice, and they're available. Like I can just run the same tire. Like,
that I will say, this isn't what you asked, but what Gerard just said there is totally true. Like a huge thing for me was going from getting whatever I could used to just buying the same tire over and over again new. Like it just led you to be way more, like you know how the tire is going to perform. You know everything about the tire. You know the tire's not 10 years old. Like there's there's not a plug in the sidewall, etc. You put these tires on, you're so excited, and then they won't even seat or like whatever it is. And
you've like gone to do all this work to like steal the tires out of the back.
And then they like
the
tires
fucked up. Like
quote unquote.
One of the things we actually never talk about, and also this falls into one of the questions, we never talk about Formula D. We always talk about like the grassroots stuff that we really like, but I've never gotten any of your thoughts on like Formula D USA or FD Japan, or like your thoughts on the state of affairs in professional drifting. Yeah, I want to know. Like we've never talked about that.
I'll go first. It's fucking crazy. It's insane. Like yeah, that's 100% push drifting to the. I mean, each year it gets pushed more and more and more, but it's like, it's like the grip levels, the power levels, the car builds, the like everything is so insane now that like I would love to ride in one of those things. Like I guarantee you, it feels completely different.
So fucked.
Yeah, it feels completely different than a regular drift car, and like those drivers to drive those cars at the level they're driving at have to be like really, really something else. Like they're definitely like some good ass drivers, and like the cars are fucked, man. They're so crazy.
It's probably like the feeling from like driving around like kind of spiritedly to like drifting with us versus like, you know what I mean? Like
drifting
like
with us to drifting with them.
Yeah, like a normal person driving around in their car and they think they're like, like your mom's like, yeah, I'm kind of ripping it, versus like being a passenger in your car is probably the same experience you'd have being a passenger in that car,
Yeah,
like that's how exponentially higher the level is.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine accelerating like a fucking 295R compound, 2,500 pound car with 1,200 horsepower. Like I bet you it's probably fast as fuck in a straight line. It probably, you know what I mean, has like 75 degrees of steering angle, and like it probably has so much grip in the corners that like you literally need 1,200 horsepower to like break the tires loose at those high speeds. Like you probably drift at like 180 and still be fucking accelerating or something stupid like that. It's crazy.
You probably only have 4 gears though, so you max out at like.
No, that's not true anymore, man. They're all running like either sequentials or whatever now. So
Yeah,
I think there's like not that many people only running four-speed dog boxes anymore. That shit went out of stock.
I mean, for me, like that was drifting. Drifting was on the streets of Japan, and then we kind of learned about it, and then it became this professional thing that was all competition based. And there was a time where I was built like a Pro 2 car and was trying to drive to get my Pro 2 license and progress in the sport, because that was the only thing to look up to was FD and professional drifting. And then like it would come to Seattle, and it was a huge event. Like it was a spectacle. Like
I think a lot of people at that time, there was definitely an era where like literally everybody wanted to build like a Formula D level car, or like whatever the Pro 2, the next level down. Everybody was building that spec of car.
Well, because that's what I mean. It was the only thing that people had been shown that they could aspire to was to keep going towards that. And then I feel like that whole like America just took it and ran with it, and it became the huge angle, huge motor, huge torque, huge tire thing. And then that basically just influenced the whole world. Like D1 was never like that, and then now D1 is exactly like that. Like, I mean, I'm sure it probably would have gotten there eventually, but
it is pretty crazy though to see like some of the D1 machines compared to most of the FD machines. Like there's definitely some like apparently like Naoki uses like stock like S13 LCAs or something on his like D1 car. I don't know, like just weird shit like that where it's like not everybody has WiseFab, not everybody has, like there's dudes running like cut knuckles and stuff, whereas like I swear like there's probably not a Formula D car that doesn't have WiseFab or equivalent. You know what I mean?
Like you can't afford not to in Formula D, it feels like, right? Like
I feel like maybe it's just a mentality thing. Americans are really good at just like buying a bunch of shit that they either need or don't need.
It's a motorsports thing though, dude. Like if you can spend an extra $1,000 to like get you out of a situation, or maybe give you an extra 2 points in the series, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. So like, of course you're gonna have like the best angle kit, and of course you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, well, yeah, sure. Because when you get to that level, and if you're like one of the guys that actually wins like a lot, like a top competitor, your livelihood depends on that, right? Like you can't be like a flagship car for Ford or for like a tire company and then be beat by a dude in like an SR20 who does, like, you have to have, you're fighting for your livelihood, and someone else might just be like a weekend warrior to some degree, right? Like even when you guys sponsored Alex Lee's a great driver and he went there, but like, was that chassis maybe the most competitive chassis in the field? Probably not at the time, right? Like that was like when we were getting into like the dawn of V8s, like V8s were just becoming, and then like the next year Alex had to put a V8 in his car. Like it is what Gerard said. It was like the Americans will do the thing. Like they'll buy the stuff and put the money towards it, whether they need it or not. But like if you wanted to win, there became a point where it's like you needed a V8, and then like Daigo showed up, and then you maybe could do a 2J, and then everyone was good on the 2J train.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. That's kind of what I mean. It's like I feel like, I mean, I don't speak for every American, obviously, but like from the outside, this is what it looks like.
Do now.
It's just like they just do whatever the fuck the other guys do, whereas in Japan they just like do whatever they were doing, and they don't have to vastly change everything in order to get to that level. They're already kind of going to that level. You know what I mean? Whereas like, if somebody says like green is black this year, it seems as though everybody is getting green because that's the thing this year or some shit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's clearly the name of the podcast or the episode now. Green is the new black.
Are you still interested in Formula D? Do you still was there I loved it for a long time and then I just stopped.
A lot of politics, man. Okay. I think the cars are dope, but they just don't look dope. I mean, there's cars like Rad Dan's car and dude, the HGK Supra, amazing. All those other cars, even the Eurofighter and all that stuff. Ken Gush, a lot of cars look really good, but I guess for me, I don't watch a lot of fucking anything really, but I'd be interested in it.
Yeah, it's exciting when you're there.
I like going to the events.
It's undeniably exciting when you're there. But and also another thing that I really like going there is seeing your homies. If you go to the Seattle event or you go down to Long Beach or you go to Irwindale or those are the only 3 events I've been to. But yeah, it's super exciting to see all these people you haven't seen and go somewhere that's not your hometown, and that's part of the draw. And then also it's there's 30,000 plus people there to see drifting. People who don't give a shit about drifting normally, who don't give who don't even know what they don't know what an S13 is or anything. So that is kind of interesting in its own right.
Yeah. But at the same time, I do follow tons of Formula. I follow Rad Dan, Ryan Turk, Chris Stapps, and I follow Ken Gushi. I follow a lot of dudes that are Formula D drivers. But I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of more interested in their other stuff. Maybe
I think you're probably interested in their builds less than their.
Yeah,
because you guys drive as well, and so I think for you, I'm gonna guess, and then correct me if I'm wrong. There's probably a sense of if you're not driving, you probably don't care as much.
Yeah,
and when you can't, sometimes that's frustrating. But
the thing for me too is watching drifting. The level of drifting is exciting, but what I really love about watching drifting are the cars. I'm a car guy. I like the sick cars, and as technically sick as the Formula D cars are, they just don't look sick. It's literally take any fucking car and put any fucking livery on it, and it's a Formula D car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what makes a cool car?
Insert playback to an old episode.
I said, I would get that HGK Supra though, hands down. For me, the best looking car of that level.
And that's what you would drive to the other dealerships?
So for me, it's funny because I don't look at an event and be like, man, I would need to be there to drive it. I look at an event and it's if I wasn't there to shoot it, then I'm kind of maybe not as interested. But then on top of that, I also loved Formula D. Before I moved to Vancouver, I would fly to Vancouver from Regina and put in to get a media application, and then I would go down to Seattle, and that was such a there was a point in time where that was such a wild experience for me. Like Kevin said, the stands are filled with people that are there to watch drifting, and all these people that I've seen on the internet that are big deals, Speed Hunters is there, and Keep Drifting Fun is there, and Motor Mavens is there, and Fat Lace used to run the car show, and it was a must be at event.
Yeah.
And then slowly it got more and more professional every year.
Yeah.
And it's when I would do it, I would look around and recognize less and less people. And, so I think that just kind of fell off. Guys stopped driving down there that weekend to go see it. It lost a bit of that charm, I guess.
I feel what sort of happened as well is, there was that era where Formula D was the thing, where Kevin said, you only went to Formula D, and that was where drifting happened, and that's where converging people happen, and that's where you'd see all your homies and stuff. But then I think slowly other events started emerging, and it was okay to not have a Pro 2 car to go to Formula D. It was now you want to build a car that's maybe that level, but you're competing at some other, I don't know, local-ish events that are
Chicago is not local, Gerard.
No. But listen, I'm talking about in Florida and Eastern Canada and stuff where they have competitive events, but it's not Formula D stuff. It's I don't know what the names of them are, but there's those type of events, and then there's the style type of events where everybody just wants to go, and basically it's like a skate park, and you bring all your cars and you just have a session with all your homies, and that was okay.
Yeah.
Whereas before there was a time when it was like either those didn't exist or
Those
it wasn't
didn't really
okay.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's
and that's kind of what I was saying. Is like for me, the FD was like an excuse for camaraderie and coming together and like a shared vision. But like it kind of, like Gerard said, it kind of morphed and it was like, all right, well, if I can have that camaraderie without this giant spectacle and like without this like giant circus of people that aren't actually about it at all, then maybe that's more what I'm into. Like like it was just more of a spectacle, or like going to a carnival.
It's definitely
it is on a fairground, so I mean
that's true.
But also to that same respect, I remember I took Dominic a couple times to Formula D, and it was crazy, right? Like for them, like for the kids, it's like you can go into the pits and see these like crazy cars. You can go and there's like vendors and like NOS girls, and like you could buy t-shirts and knickknacks, and then there's tons of people and you got popcorn and you're in the grandstands. It's like a big deal. Whereas like you take your kid to like any of those other events and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I took him to Final Bout West that one time, and it was like he was mildly interested, but like the only thing there was the drifting. But
I was going to say it is a good way to bring someone who doesn't care about drifting. It's a nice soft launch because there's so much other stuff, and it's at such a high level that like you can't not be impressed almost, you know what I mean?
It's like you can go to Final Bout and like if you're like a car guy, or if you're not a car guy, you'd be like, oh, these cars are kind of cool and they're going sideways, but like it might just not be enough to be like, whoa. Whereas like you go to Formula D and the car's coming in at fucking 140K and they're like louder than shit, and like they're door to door, and they're doing a 5/8 bank. Like that's a big deal. I don't care who you are. That's crazy. Like you could be like half dead and be like, that's cool. You know what I mean?
I used to be in Saskatchewan, and I would always be on like the blogs after Formula D happened in other places, and then I'd want to see like car show coverage, and it was a big deal. You know what it was for me was that eventually Formula D, I think what I liked about it was attainable. It felt like it was attainable for like anybody could do. Not anybody could do it, but like Kevin, you're saying like, oh, you were building like a Pro 2 car. Alex Lee was driving in it, and like I could.
Adam LZ competed and like did pretty well, and he was kind of just like not a nobody, but like he came up.
How many subscribers does he have?
That doesn't fucking make him a Formula D driver. I mean, he's literally
How did Ken Block become a rally driver?
But no, listen.
All you do is do it.
But at the same respect, he's obviously like has some sort of talent. But like, it's a pretty cool story to go from being a fucking YouTuber to like competing with the people that you used to be watching like literally 2 years ago. Like he like competes with Chelsea Denofa and like Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Ryan Turk. And
you mean competing with the people who are watching you 2 years ago?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they could have just been like, look at this fucking idiot, whatever. Like, and then 2 years later, he's like kicking their ass. I don't think so, man. Like, everybody respects him because he's a good ass driver.
That's I feel like a very specific success story of
no, I'm just saying. Like,
but like if you want to be successful in the series, you have to at the very minimum be at every event in the series, and that's a big financial step, Mm-hmm. And like I feel that Adam LZ has the finances and the money to have the team and to be at every event. And like, didn't Njuku build him a whole car and they're just like run this car? So it's not like he didn't have to.
He paid for some of it, but yeah,
that's what I mean. So it's like the barriers of entry for him to be a professional driver seem less because he's already a star than for other people who might be better drivers or have more heart or whatever, if you will.
I mean, that's understandable, but also at the same respect, like if he wasn't able to compete on that level, he'd fucking fall pretty hard. Yeah, and could you imagine how many people were like, oh, look at this fucking YouTuber, like wow, he gets a free car and now he's got all the money to run the series. Like, fuck this guy. But then
probably everybody wants him to fail.
Exactly. Yeah. But then all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, like, whoa, he's kind of shredding. Like, what the fuck? Like, yo, he just like beat that guy. He's like, yo, that was a sick run. And then
dude,
everyone after a while is like, yo, like he actually shreds. Like
dudes who have ran for like 6 years in FD who just crashed the whole time. And it's just like, how did they get signed year after year when they like for 5 years just crashed? Like,
yeah, exactly.
So I'll be that guy. I don't know a ton about Adam LZ because I've never like been into following that type of thing. And I would say when he,
oh, you think you're better than me? You think you're better than me because you're not into following that sort of thing?
No,
you got
never
better
in my
things
life
to do with your time than to sit around and follow those things.
Trying to find you a bunch of shit boxes to go buy. I'm sorry, just trying to be a good friend.
Yo, send me those links.
No, but I was like, oh, I hope he gets torn apart by these drivers, and then I was like, oh, he's winning. That's really good, I guess. Because like when I look at it, I remember being like, man, Fournier is going to drive, and like Fournier used to be Fat Lace sponsored, and I thought that was super cool. And you know, like you guys did Alex's car, and that was super cool. And even like you had like Walker Wilkerson was like, you know, running an SR and then in the S13, and it was like there was a sense that like anybody could almost get their foot in the door, and then that went away. I think at the end of the day, though, what happened was, I think Vickers said this, and I really like it. What did he say? Like, of course, you want to get in where you fit in, but that's what Final Bout kind of became. It was like you removed all of the noise to some degree, and then you were left with like and the politics and the pressure, and it was just a bunch of dudes that you like hanging around with that all kind of have like in the Venn diagram of cars, there's a lot of overlap. And I can't help but think like, you know, like how many dudes before that were like, I just want to drift and I have like no desire to go to like be a competition driver. Like
I think a lot.
I had zero desire to compete, zero desire to like build a competition car, like nothing. I just like build sick cars that I drift.
We'll say though, like I don't feel that Final Bout has gotten rid of the drifting politics that existed in FD. Like there's still people who are butthurt that they didn't get invited, or like you know what I mean? Like, oh, like I don't have real wheels, so like I can't go drive there, and like, and the you know also
Serial 9 got to go just because they're Serial 9, and like who cares if they can drive or not? They're Serial 9.
And it's same thing with like Drift Week. People are all butthurt that it's like, oh, like I didn't get accepted to go and drive in Drift Week 3. It's like there's politics to there's politics in everything.
Yeah, right? That's just life though, right? Like we've talked about this before. It's an ego-driven world. Of course, everybody thinks that they're like shit doesn't stink. You know, it's like subjectively they're like, oh yeah, my car is really cool if you can just see it through this filter of not having real wheels. And it's like, no, but there's actually a playbook of how you're going to do this event. And if you want to do that event, you got to follow the playbook because there's gatekeepers, and the only way you're getting in is if you listen to the gatekeeper. And I'm totally for that. But I get why people would be upset. And look, one day there may come a day where we all respectively don't get into a thing because we're not as relevant as we used to. And I'm sure at that point we'll just be like sour grapes about it, right? Like if Gerard, if someone told you like you're not cool enough to come to an event, I'm sure you would rage about it. Like I have no doubt in my mind if someone.
Yeah, you don't have your wheels aren't small enough to drift at our drift event.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely events that I probably couldn't get into. So it was like some sort of like cool vintage, like nostalgia event.
I didn't ask for a list. I asked for a hypothetical situation. Like there's an event that you want to go to, and like
you want maybe to go to
at some point.
Yeah, I guess I do pretty chapped.
All right. Well, that was what we think about Formula D, apparently.
Long enough.
The other question was about takeovers because we always like touch on it and then we never but I don't actually care.
Yeah, they're stupid. End of subject.
They are stupid. I think the only person that I'm not sure would agree are takeover stupid is Gerard.
Gerard thinks takeovers are a viable method to be able to drive a modified car in Vancouver again. So it's like we should just take over the street.
Yeah.
That's not what I said, is it?
I don't know.
No, I just
put words in your mouth and now you gotta defend them.
No, I think they're fucking stupid because like it's the same exact thing. Like when I got pulled over drifting on the street after a drift event in Washington, it's like here I am like coming from a different country and like fucking up drifting for all these other people that like probably have spent a lot of time trying to get drifting at these tracks and like you know, these guys have to drive around here all the time with these modified cars, and here I am just like shitting all over the place. And that's what those guys are doing. They're just like taking these fucked up shitty cars and like drifting on the street, and like that could very well be what a lot of people think drifting is. And like people be like, yo, fuck that drifting shit, it's crappy, it's stupid, it's immature, it's like, you know what I mean? But like,
no, I agree. I honestly, here's the thing. I don't think the audience that is interested in what we have to say is necessarily the ones that are going to take over. So be like, you're right, I shouldn't be doing this, because like those people are off in their own fucking world. And that's, I think, the biggest problem is like, yeah, takeovers are shitty, but I almost see it as like, that's not my problem. And then I like draw the line and like shoo them off to the side, but it probably is my problem. And I'm just not like, I'm looking at it through the lens of like, no, I can clearly see the difference between like drifting and doing donuts in an intersection and then someone getting hit by a car and flying sideways or whatever, you know, like I can see the difference. But then, you know what, maybe society on a whole can't see the difference. They're like, and then they were drifting. It's like, nah, man, that's not drifting. But
yeah,
when I guess when you live in a world where like, if you tell someone that isn't into cars that you like
the
drifting,
car is sideways and there's smoke coming out, like,
yeah. Well, to my point, it's like, how many times have you been like, yeah, I like drifting, and the person that doesn't know anything about cars is like Tokyo Drift, and like, yeah, except like way less parkades and girls and like techno music. And
I feel that like that's part of your
drift.
life. I don't ever have to explain drifting. You know?
You've never had to explain drifting to anyone?
No, not that I've never had to explain, dude. Like my entire life was drifting when drifting wasn't anything in North America, but that was way before Tokyo Drift even. So like you know, like at that time it'd be like, oh, you know, when you're driving in the snow and the back end kicks out, it's like that, but all the time in the dry. And you're like,
yeah, I mean, like, look, I liked drifting before Tokyo Drift as well, but I've met people since Tokyo Drift has come out.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you live in a corporate world and it like doing a downtown job that has nothing to do with cars, and I drive a shop that is like people are messaging me about drifting all the time. I'm just saying that like a large part of my life is not explaining.
So what are you saying? You're better than me?
Hasn't been
better
in
than
7
me
years.
You don't have to explain drifting to people. And then when they look at you, they don't say like, "Oh, like Tokyo Drift,"
no.
and then you're like, "No,
no." Well,
like
I gotta explain that their arms come in pairs, not sold as a single arm. So no, I'm definitely not.
Oh, cool! Your life's way better than mine. Lately, when I tell people what I'm into, I actually have to use you guys as an example. It's like the only saving grace. And I was like, and then I have these friends in like Coquitlam that build parts for like specifically for Toyotas and like putting these and blah blah blah. And it's like the only sense of credibility that I can like attach to what I do. I can be like, I've run a blog, I've taken photos, I've run, you know, done media for like 12 years. Like, that's cute. And I'm like, okay, there's these guys that I know that run a legitimate business that make money off of this. And they're like,
and then we do a podcast with them.
And then I do a podcast with them, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Podcast is relatable, yeah.
Yeah, but still like a Tokyo Drift podcast. So you guys talk about Tokyo Drift a lot. It's like, yeah, man, it's all of our favorite movies.
Yo, I just had an idea for a podcast.
I think the intro song this time should be the Tokyo Drift one.
We should talk about food. You know,
something Tokyo. Fast and Furious.
Hey, here's a fun question. What's your favorite Fast and the Furious movie?
Kevin hates them all, so.
All of them?
I don't hate them all.
I mean, he just hates Fast and Furious, period.
I know Gerard likes all of them.
It's so fake. It's so fake, man. How could I'm like, dude, of course it's fucking fake. Like, it's a fucking like it's like a Marvel Comics card movie. Like, of course it's fake. I don't know, man. I think they're all pretty good. I don't really know if I have a favorite. They're all like.
If I had to have a favorite, it would be.
Go on, say it.
I would just say like no. It would be like I think number 1, number 3, then maybe number 5. None of the even numbers are good, and then like now towards the end, it's just petering off into like exactly what Gerard said, where it's like a Marvel comic of a movie.
Yeah. But, I have this very funny memory of walking into your guys' shop, and it was before like I had a handle on who you were as people. And I remember Gerard being like, I saw Fast and the Furious and it was dope. And it was like the submarine one or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, was it? And like Kevin's like, man, why do you like those movies? And I was like, oh, I see how this is. And I could immediately be like, so Kevin I will align on certain things with Kevin and maybe Aristo is with Gerard. Like immediately I was like, yes, Kevin gets me.
I just take it for what it is. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah, I heard this argument when I walked in.
How many car movies are there? Like 0. So like it's kind of
that's not true. There's good car movies.
Come on, man. Name a fucking good car movie that came in the last 5 years.
Oh, in the last 5 years.
Last 10 years. I don't know. What?
I guess I can't tell time anymore.
Gone in 60 Seconds?
Gone in 60 Seconds is a great movie.
Drive. Baby Driver is a good movie.
Ooh. Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay, Ford versus Ferrari is probably good. That's a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Senna.
That's a good. Yeah. Oh, see.
Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's not really like a car movie.
Yes, it is. It's more of a car movie than Fast and the Furious. It's literally a movie about
shiny cars, shiny cars, turbo.
So Gerard, you like all of the Fast and the Furious movies equally?
I mean, yeah, they're just like it's like watching a fucking series. Like, I don't know, it's like watching a fucking TV show series. They're all
you don't same. Find it weird that the people that stole DVD players are now fighting international crimes and possibly going to space?
Or like,
you gotta progress.
Yeah. You got to jump out of one skyscraper into another.
Yeah. Oh. And I mean, or you got to steal a submarine. Come on. And like drive on ice with a Lamborghini and not crash. Like, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, they're the best drivers in the world, apparently. And they're all from California.
Yeah.
Hey, but they don't have like 50 gears anymore. They just have like 10.
Great.
Cars have come up in technology and they actually have 10 now.
Yeah. Good. Anyway, I think the first one's the best one, and then Tokyo Drift, and then probably what Kevin said.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, if I would have to choose, I would say the first 5. Isn't Tokyo Drift 5?
God, you can't.
Tokyo Drift is 3.
Oh, okay. So the first 3 then.
And the 2 is the one with the pink S2000 and Ludacris.
Yeah. That's Too Fast, Too Furious by John Singleton, which is
good.
One of our friends really likes that one. That's their favorite, and I can't remember who it is, and it blows my mind. John Singleton made that movie, and that's very strange because like John Singleton made Boys in the Hood. What have you learned from this podcast so far?
This one?
No, just like all of them.
What have I learned from these podcasts? I think they're fun. I enjoy them. I like talking about things. So
that's not a lesson. That's things you like.
I don't know what to say, man.
I don't know. You haven't had any.
Well, I learned that I like to do podcasts.
I've learned that people like give a shit about the stupid shit that we have to say because I didn't think anybody would listen.
Yeah, I honestly thought there'd be like 50 listeners or something, but
I've learned. What have I learned? I've learned a lot about Kevin and Gerard, I feel like, and like what maybe makes them tick as people. And I feel like I learn something every time we do an episode, but that's because I don't know a ton about a lot of things. So it's pretty easy to learn.
I've learned that I'm old and angry and that I'm apparently too mild-mannered and reserved for Ryan's tastes.
I don't think it's for my taste. It's what I've always said. Like, you say a thing and I'm like, I can't argue with that. There's nothing I can say. Like Gerard, I can argue with because he kind of says ludicrous things sometimes.
Well, what's crazy shit? Like, what do you mean? Like,
I don't know.
Right now, Ryan just puts in one sentence from every previous episode. That's just completely ridiculous.
My favorite, when you compare doing burnouts to being a drug addict.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
Being mad that Tesla's so successful because they're full. It's like the nerds are winning.
Yeah, fuck Teslas, man.
Do you guys want to tell anyone to like go to your website? Like we call
Kevin,
it.
do it.
Hey, now our podcast is over. You should head over to the website and buy a sweatshirt.
Ooh, that's a good looking sweatshirt. Or the hood. Do you still have the hoodies?
We have hoodies. We have hats coming out soon. We have t-shirts and
crew necks,
stickers, banners, all sorts of cool shit.
I mean, you also just fully sell car parts people can buy too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We got car parts too.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks for listening, and check you later.
Catch you next time.
On the flip side.
God. All right.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.